It was definitely something about 11 feet tall, standing on the other side of the meadow staring at us, and I truly believe that it was a Bigfoot. I've never felt fear like that my entire life.
You're listening to the Cryptid Crew Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Childers. Before we get started, if you've had an encounter or an experience or just something unexplained, click on our link tree in the description and share your encounter. Thank you for listening to the Cryptid Crew Podcast. On this episode of the Cryptid Crew Podcast, I would like to welcome from the great state of Oregon, Amy Hill. Amy, thank you for coming on the show.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm excited.
Absolutely. Yes, me as well. We met at the Glide Sasquatch Festival in Oregon.
Yeah, that was a fun time.
Yes, absolutely. Back in June. I guess the weather could have been a little better, but
It's Oregon.
Exactly. I've heard that quite a bit. Yes.
You just wait.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to meet or talk to any of the speakers that they had?
I saw a few of the speakers. It was very informational. It was awesome. It was cool.
Yes.
To
Yes.
be in like-minded presence of others that don't judge you for believing what you believe.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Yes. I'll tell you what, let's get into this. And if you can, Amy had a fascinating and intense story that she told me, an encounter in Oregon, and that was in Douglas County, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It was up
And we were
McCullough
talking
Creek.
about that earlier.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. If you can, share with the listeners just a little bit or in detail what led up to the encounter and then the encounter itself.
Well, we moved up there into a Kodiak canvas tent in July, and we had probably run through a box of shells for things that went bump in the night that were startling us, and we couldn't see anything, just needed something to be scared out of because we lived in basically a clear cut on a flat surface where used to be a yarder, so it was a flat spot, and had our tent there. And then there was a huge parcel that was clear cutted years ago, and it was probably about 100 and maybe 200 yards to where the fence line where the clear cut ended, and there was forest as you looked straight out our cabin tent. And the lay of the land was that where we were up here, the other side of that meadow was the same height that we were, but there was a big ditch between us, huge, where the mountains come together. So it dropped probably about 12 feet and then rose back up to where it would be level with us, where we were perched. And we had a lot of things happen that were interesting noises and things we couldn't put our fingers on. And we just protected ourselves with making noise. So we target practiced and did stuff like that. And one night we were sitting there. Usually we had kids with us, but we didn't that night. And we were out there, and I said, will you go outside with me? I have to use the restroom, and I don't want to walk all the way across that field to the porta potty. I want to go right here, but I want you to be out there with me. I had a bad feeling. And so he said, yeah, sure, I'll go out there. And he stood there. I walked to the right of the tent, and he stood facing the open clearing with the flashlight. And we both caught eye reflection. I was doing my business, and he said, what is that? And I said, that is really tall. That can't be an elk. And he said, well, what would be that tall? And I said, I don't know. But it was staring right at me, You could see its eye line was at me. And he said, it's watching you. It's watching you go to the bathroom. And I said, well, I started to panic a little bit. And I said, do you know the Lord's Prayer? And he said, yeah. I said, start reciting it. And these two huge eyes, blue, white, they were so white they were blue, went from looking at me and did this to staring right at him. Like you could see you couldn't see its body. It was so black below the eyes. Everything around it was so black. You couldn't see any body. But you could tell by the way that it moved, it had to reposition itself to stare at him head on. If that makes sense. It was very unnatural movements. And he panicked and said, what in the hell is that? And I said, I can't tell you. It's not an elk. Elk aren't 12 feet tall. Because it was standing next to a telephone pole, and we went out there the next day and checked how tall it was compared to the telephone pole. And it had to have been between 10 and 12 feet tall.
Wow.
And it was on the other side of the fence line where the telephone pole was, that was leaf litter everywhere. I went back the next morning to see if I could see footprints, and I didn't see any footprints. But the moment that he started saying that prayer, he said that it looked into his soul. He said he could feel it. He said it was so uncanny that he didn't want to go back outside after dark ever again. It was almost, well, I think like last month around Thanksgiving was a year that happened. And
Okay.
we moved off of the mountain at the end of December. We just were not comfortable up there anymore. It was, none of the animals were bothered. None of the dogs or the chickens or the geese or the goats the sheep were bothered. But we were seriously unhinged by that. We tried to get up there before dark and left after, I had to leave at 6 a.m. in the morning every day and go through 2 locked gates to get off the property at dark. So I was having some issues with my own comfort levels, but in that type of area, you carry I carried a 9mm everywhere I went on that property because I wasn't going to be anywhere without something, especially going through gates after dark and before dark, before light in the morning. It was unhinged. And you're right on the creek there. So any critter, mountain lion, I was told many times when I got home at night that there's a mountain lion. Make sure your gun's loaded when you walk up to the tent, because there's a mountain lion between you and me somewhere. So you learn to live a little bit on the edge. But when you can explain a cat, you can explain a bear and an elk. And an elk or a bear or a mountain lion aren't going to look at you when you start saying words like that. They're not going to track you. It was a very interesting situation. It was very, very interesting.
Prior to you seeing the eyes, did you feel any type of unease or
that night?
any
I did.
Type of being uncomfortable? Okay.
Because
Okay.
that's why I asked him to go out with me. Usually I'm the big tough girl that's like, leave me be, I can go do what I want. But I was like, will you please go out there with me? I'm not feeling comfortable. There wasn't any birds going off. It was eerily quiet, which usually you can hear all of the little night birds and the crickets and the, other animals getting ready for bed, and there was nothing. It was silent. I was very uncomfortable that night. Yeah.
Could you see any type of detail or outline of the creature itself?
No, that's the
or any?
crazy part of it. All I could see was the eyes. It was like the light was being just evaporated. Once it hit the eyes, there was nothing. There was black. It was like there wasn't even a flashlight over. Like it was absorbing the light, if that makes sense. We couldn't see any definition whatsoever. And that's what we were looking for to
Okay.
determine what kind of critter it was, like where's the outline? You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, then let me ask you this: did it feel more evil to you then than maybe
He
an actual animal or something?
I I didn't feel like it was more evil. I didn't think of it as being evil. I think
Okay.
of it as being an entity of some kind, whether it's a flesh and blood critter that lives in our realm or a critter that goes like portals. I don't know. I've never seen anything like that. I know that it understood what he was saying because of the way it acted. It 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 was just very odd. Like it understood what the ramifications of what he was saying. Cause it just stared right at him and he was like he said he felt like he was almost struck by it when it looked at him. He said it looked straight into my eyes. How could it see my eyes? It and I we couldn't explain it. It was the weirdest thing that I've ever experienced. And I've been in the woods all my life, in and out, doing stuff, hunting, bear hunting. I mean, my grandmother was a county trapper. She used to take us to dog trees and she would, hunt bears. And I've never been more afraid than that night. And I've been at a tree with a bear or a mountain lion in it. And that's frightening in its own, you know, situational frighteningness. But that was, I think it was because we couldn't explain what it was. We couldn't see any outline. We couldn't see anything beyond its eyes. And they were so bright white that they were blue. Like, but far apart. They weren't a deer eye that's on one side, but they were huge. It, yeah, it's so hard to explain when it happens so fast, but you remember all this weird detail, and it's like but there was no detail to its body. None at all. And come to find out, he went out there the next morning as well to look for footprints or tracks of any kind. And he didn't find any either. It was
Was there any disturbance on the ground where it was standing or where you saw it at?
no, no, just regular deer tracks that were there, the day, because we have to go around the fence there to unlock the gate. And all that was there was the regular deer tracks going up that little deer trail by the gate. I didn't see anything out of the ordinary. It was like it never happened.
What time of year was it?
It was November. It was either just before Thanksgiving or just slightly after Thanksgiving, but it was November.
Okay, so all the leaves were basically off the trees,
Oh yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it a moonlit night, or was there no moon, or cloudy, or
It was
overcast?
clouded over and it was drizzling a little bit. Yeah. It was starting to get cold. I think it snowed shortly after that. I think maybe a week and a half after that it snowed. But they had just clear-cutted the mountain above us that summer and sprayed poison all over it to keep the brush from growing. And the guy that we were living with on his property warned us that we would probably have way more animal activity last winter, because of the disruption up top of the mountain. And he lived there for 6 years and brought it from nothing to an actual little homestead. So I listened to what he said. I mean, you don't live there for 6 years and see what goes on and not know, you know? So,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense if they're doing clear cutting or any kind of logging of any sort. There's going to be animals will be moving, and I'm just wondering, if that particular creature was moving with the food source.
That very
You
well
know,
could be. Mhm.
And especially if you have a creek or water nearby, they
Mhm.
say Sasquatch or Bigfoot, move along the waterways,
It
move
makes
along
sense.
creeks and such.
It's there's food in it, there's, you know, resources. The gentleman that we lived with on his property, he said that when he moved up there, he went to the end of McCullough Creek, where you can either go over and go towards Glendale, Windy Creek area, or you can go to the other side and go up to Susan Creek and Buck Creek and all of those that are now gated off. And he said he said he got probably about a half a mile up around two corners because it's super, super windy roads up there. And he said this man at the end of this straight stretch stood up out of the bushes and ran across the road. And I said, a man out in the middle of nowhere? And he goes, well, he looked like he was wearing a ghillie suit and he was very tall. And I said, and what did you do? And he said, I turned the car around and went back, and I have not gone back up there. I said, so these forest people you speak of, have you seen them anywhere near this property? And he said, no, I've only seen them up there. So he didn't want to say where
How far is that?
it was
Sorry, I didn't mean to
probably
interrupt.
from where we were living with him. It was probably a mile and a half up the road from us, further into the wilderness, up McCullough Creek Road. Yeah,
So not far at all then.
not far at all. Uh-uh. Yeah. And he had cameras everywhere and spotlights and sensor lights everywhere. So if you step just too close, all the lights would cascade on down the driveway. And which made me think maybe he did that for security so that they would stay out of the light and out of his area. And, you know,
Possibly. That's what it sounds like.
it
Very well could
sounds
be.
like it to me too. Just the way that he was very particular about what lights were left on and what lights were never turned off. Like he was very particular. Yeah.
Amy, did you guys have any activity or any strange things happen prior to this encounter on that property yourself?
Just noises at night, like in the brush around our cabin tent. And we thought it was the mountain lion because the mountain lion had been seen we've probably saw it about 4 times when we were up there, and it was always after dark. And we had kids out there too. And kids make noise. Kids are laughy, jokey, jovial. And I could understand critters wanting to know what that noise is. So a lot of times when the kids were out there, we had a lot more activity around the tent than when it was just him and I. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So going back to let's transition kind of back to the night of the encounter.
Mhm.
So were there any trees that or limbs or anything that the creature or whatever it was could have been standing on, or
No,
can you kind of describe?
well, where we saw it is an old cat road that went up around the clear cut. So it was level with where we were sitting on the other side of the clearing. And the cat road was built up a little bit so it was elevated above the little gourd between the cat road and our tent. So all of the trees there had been leveled off. And on the other side of the fence were just little tiny second growth trees from a clear cut 30 years ago. So that was really thick. It was pretty thick with little shrubby brush, but then there was some taller trees, but they weren't of like old growth or anything like that. And it was all bare ground underneath it because they had to come in and clear it all out. And for fire danger and all of that, they had it all. The guy that owned that property had it pretty nicely taken care of. There wasn't anything on the ground. It's just dirt and trees, and it was super level and just kind of cascaded down the hill a little bit on the other side. Oh, yeah, and it was covered with leaves because there's, madrone up there that was dropping leaves everywhere, and they're like potato chips. You're gonna hear them, but yeah. And a lot of it was pretty bare because the after they clear cut it burnt through there. So a lot of the trees that were there were like dead stands. If they weren't alive, they
Okay.
were a dead stand that had been burnt out and just needed to be taken out. Not alive, just kind of taking up space.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, Amy. Prior to that encounter, was Bigfoot or Sasquatch ever a thought?
Oh yeah, I've been intrigued for years, and I grew up on the McKenzie River, and there was always Bigfoot stuff there, people talking about it. And when I was 10, we moved to Humboldt County, and I lived in Eureka, and we used to go to Willow Creek all the time, and it was a large part of our life. Mom was very open with us about things like that, and we used to listen to Art Bell and all of that stuff. She opened our eyes to a lot of different things, to be open with it and not just disregard what people say, because you never know what the truth is. Even if you don't believe them, hear them out. You never know. It could be something that saves your life one day. You don't know. Or just a tidbit of information. So yeah, I've been thinking about it for years.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this then. I'm just going to straightforward. What do you think that was that
I
evening?
truly believe that that was a Bigfoot. And I think that its fur somehow absorbed the light, blocked the light, reflected the light. Somehow its fur didn't allow us to see its complete shape. And just because of the way that it moved, it didn't just turn its head. It had to move its entire body to look at him. You know, it almost looked, if I hadn't thought about the whole mechanics of it, it almost looked reptilian by the way that it moved its head to look at him. But the locomotion of it is it pivoted on one foot to move its whole body to look at him. Does that make sense? The way that it was definitely something about 11 feet tall, standing on the other side of the meadow staring at us. And I truly believe that it was a Bigfoot. And I've never felt fear like that my entire life. And I've been out in the boonies on a tree with a bear in it. That's frightening. No, that thing was frightening. It made us totally sit there. We sat there and prayed for 2 hours after we went back in the tent. Just because we were like, okay, even if it is a real life critter and it's something out there, I would rather have the conscious mind to, you know, have the Lord help us in one way or another, whether it is a demonic situation or a creature. At least in our minds, we're settled up, you know?
Absolutely. That's probably the best thing you could have done. In
Yeah.
that situation, you want protection. So the Lord's Prayer,
I
that's
mean,
the
and
place to go.
you're in a canvas tent. There's not much protection there. Okay. You could go zip the door, but that doesn't mean anything. So, we got to rely on other
No,
higher
not at all.
powers at that point.
For
but,
sure. Yeah,
but yeah.
the, color of the eyes, that's so fascinating to me. I've heard amber, I have heard, red and
Hmm.
green, but that's pretty neat.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting. Yeah. We did everything tandem after that point. We were kind of where one was, the other was, because we were a little bit shook by that for a bit.
Oh,
But
yeah. I would be as well. So,
Yeah.
something like that would make me feel totally uneasy and definitely put you on the defense.
Yeah. And then we kept thinking, is this thing watching us from a different place and we don't see it? Is it still here somewhere, you know? But I do believe that area is thick with it because there's from McCullough Creek about 4.5 miles down the road, there's Susan Creek. And Susan Creek used to be open year round for hunting and camping. And people used to go up and ride bikes. There's a huge dirt bike trail down there. And I've had several people tell me about incidents where they were there late on the dirt bike trail and something pacing them out on their dirt bike or screaming at them at the campfire on the bike trail. And uh uncanny, people that don't get shook were like, yeah, well, something screamed at me while I was standing in front of the fire and I could feel it go through my body when it screamed. And to this day, that place that has uh, five different creeks and roads you can get from Susan Creek, Buck Creek. You could go back around to McCullough Creek. You can get to Windy Creek. All these different places from there has been locked for the last 5 years. Nobody's allowed up there. Every end of the road to get up there has been locked. And I
And that's
believe
public access, correct?
that's right. And it's all BLM land. And nobody's allowed up there. I think it's because of Bigfoot. I think that people have reported Sasquatch or had things happen to them, and they finally decided to close it down. Yeah, so it's been permanently
Makes sense.
closed for 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah, that's a lot of time.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
That
interesting.
is a lot of time. And that's not the first time I've heard that as well at public land, national parks,
Mm-hmm.
certain areas being closed
Yeah,
after something's been reported or
something
not
happened.
made public.
Yeah,
But yes, something happened or you have someone that knows something was reported
right.
and, for whatever reason, the gates are locked or it's closed for a while. Let me ask you this, Amy. Do you think the government knows about these creatures or know they exist?
I do believe so. I do believe so. There's too much of it out there. Too many people seeing them, too many interactions with humans, too many that they don't know. They have to know. And from the stories that I hear about the guys in the trucks that show up or the SUVs that show up and, you know, they're covering up for a reason. If it isn't a flesh and blood critter that is natural to our environment, did they create something that got away from them? I don't know. I couldn't tell you, but I know that I feel they're very aware.
Yeah. Yeah, the Men in Black, that's for real. That's a definite,
I believe
happening
it.
or has happened,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
no doubt. And where you're at, Douglas County is active,
Mm-hmm.
extremely active area,
We have a lot of
for
watersheds.
Bigfoot sightings.
We have a lot of watersheds, a
Makes
lot of
sense.
waterways through here, and valleys and canyons, and
Well, that gives you cover. It gives you a food source, and where there's water, there's food.
that's right. Yeah. Without humans being able to get up to it. So, yeah, yeah.
Well, Amy, at the end of each episode, we do a rapid fire Q&A where I ask 3 questions,
Okay.
and it's the first thing that comes to your mind. It's just casual, so
Okay.
nothing too serious. All right, are you ready?
Sure.
Number 1, if you had a chance to camp or hike anywhere, where would it be?
Oh, well, I would love to see Yosemite and, or Yellowstone. I'd love to go and camp out at Yellowstone Park somewhere and just to see. Never been.
Yeah, that's a bucket list.
Yeah, for real,
I have
right?
not either. Yes. Number 2, favorite Christmas movie?
Oh, I just watched it yesterday. Uh, with the kid with the leg lamp. What is it? Christmas.
Oh, A Christmas Story. No,
Yes,
um,
you'll shoot your eye
is that
out.
right? Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
I
that's a
just watched it
classic.
yesterday. It's a great
They
one.
made a. Have you seen the second one? The one made just a couple of years ago,
No,
where they're grown. He's grown now.
no,
Yes,
I'm gonna have to
I
look
believe
that
it's
up.
on. You'll have to look it up. I'm not sure what streaming service it is, and it's not too bad. It's pretty good for a sequel.
Good. I'll have to look it up. I love that movie. It's so good.
Number 3, favorite Bigfoot TV show, past or present?
Um, TV show. Well, I used to watch, um, gosh, what was it called? Oh, I'm so horrible with names. That's the
You had
Beyond?
Finding Bigfoot, Monster
Oh,
Quest,
Finding Bigfoot. I
Fear the
watched a lot of
Woods.
that. And I also watched, the Bigfoot Project with all of the people that would go out and hunt for Bigfoot.
Oh, was it
Uh, Exhibition.
Expedition Bigfoot?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I
Okay.
watched that.
Okay. Well, one of the guys that was one of the speakers at Glide Sasquatch Festival was there at the festival. That was
Yeah.
on
Yes.
Expedition Bigfoot.
I saw him there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was really cool.
So it was cool. Yes. Biko, right? He was a couple of tents down, 2 or 3 tents down from me, I believe.
Yeah.
Real nice guy.
Yeah. Everybody that I met there was really nice. And I really want to go to the one in Oak Ridge next year. So I'm putting that on my schedule already. I want to go to the Bigfoot Festival in Oak Ridge next year. Yeah.
What time of year did they have that one?
I want to say April. I think it's in
April.
April.
Okay.
I
That one in Glide, that was our first time in the Pacific Northwest. It was beautiful, and we enjoyed it.
Yeah, we love it out here. It's beautiful. If you don't like the weather, just wait or start barbecuing. It doesn't matter if it's
Yes.
raining or snowing. You could still have a barbecue.
Absolutely, yes. That was, I guess it was June, so we thought it was gonna be warm,
Mm.
but what my wife thought it was gonna be warmer than what it was. I dressed appropriately.
Yeah.
She did not.
Yeah.
Yes, and we ran into once we left Glide, we went up 138,
Hmm.
um, because we drove all the way to actually, we drove to Burns,
Hmm.
that evening. But, maybe a half an hour outside of Glide, we ran into snow in June,
Hmm.
and we were not used to that.
No, it's weird, isn't it?
Yes, but
Yes.
beautiful. It was great.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
great.
It's wonderful. You
Oh,
never know what's going to happen with the weather. I mean, if it's snowing, you're going to have snow for a bit, but if it's raining, it could stop. It could be sunny in an hour. You never know.
yes. Yep. Well, Amy, thank you for taking your time out of your schedule and, coming on the show and sharing your encounter.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you taking the time to listen. Thank you.
Yes, I really enjoyed it, and Merry Christmas
Oh, Merry
early.
Christmas to you too.
Um, thank you. I appreciate that. And, for the listeners, please like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel out. And if you've had an encounter, send your information to the Cryptid Crew Podcast at gmail.com. Thank you for listening, and God bless.